Well, listeners, there is a very special album coming out on the 11th of October this year. It is the brand new album from The Crown. It's called Crown of Thorns, and we thought we want to know a little bit more about this album, so we thought we would actually get Marco from The Crown on the phone right now to chat a little bit about it. Welcome to the program, Marco.
Thanks, man.
Now, mate, we've been teasing our listeners now for a while with singles off this album. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling now that the album is about to come out.
Yeah, it's a quite enjoyable period now, because when you sort of finish the album and send it to the label, you don't hear anything for like a couple of months, and then you start to talk to people and you have a chance to, play the first single video and start to getting the feedback. I really enjoyed that period. So, communicating with fans and, magazines and all of that, it's really great. And the feedback is really, really good so far. So the feeling is really good in the Crown camp.
Someone said to me once that time between putting an album into the label and then waiting for it to come out can sometimes be the loneliest time for a musician as well. Do you feel that? Do you feel that loneliness at that time?
Yeah, it's actually terrible, because you're so creative, working hard, and then you sort of send the album and it's complete silence. And basically what you hear is, "Yeah, got the files, dude." And that's it. And you're like, "Oh, well, what do you think about it? Is it good?" So that's quite frustrating. And obviously you try to leak it to some friends and, some colleagues in the industry and stuff like that, to get some sort of reality check, the feedback. Like, what the hell, have we done a complete disaster move, or what are we doing here? So it's it's a dark period.
Yeah. So, mate, tell us a little bit about the beginnings of this album. Where did this album start, and what kind of things were you guys talking about at that time when you first started working on this album?
Yes, it was quite interesting start in a way, because it sort of kicked off when Magnus, our bass player, decided to leave the band. It was all for good reasons, so there was no crap or bullshit there. It was all good. But the thing is that me and Magnus usually took care of the songwriting part. We basically wrote always 50-50 to every album, and I sort of realized that shit, I need to step up and be the sort of main songwriter. Never done that before for a Crown, so the pressure was there, and then I started to figure out, like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, what do I need? And the first thing was, I need inspiration, and how do I want to be inspired? And it sort of hit me that it would be really cool for once to start actually the whole process with the artwork. So usually you do your songs and then you try to figure out the proper artwork for it. That's usually what happens to 99% of bands. And but in this case, we actually did the artwork first. It was completed maybe 2 years ago already. And I had this idea that, would it be cool if you have the artwork that you're really happy with, and you sort of set your mind into, like, what type of songs belongs to this artwork, If an album looks like this, how should it end? How should it start? I mean, that was really, really interesting, and that's sort of how everything started. And but it worked. I was inspired by that, and especially when I was so halfway through, and then also Matthias, the new bass player, came in with 2 songs, and so it sort of took off from there. But it was interesting to start from the sort of visual aspect and be inspired by the visuals, because I really think their artwork turned out really unique and cool. So that was the starting point.
Yeah, talking about that artwork, before Janos actually gave you that final artwork, I believe that part of what you wanted in that artwork was a statue from a bridge in your hometown. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what sparked that. What was it about that bridge and about that statue?
Yeah, it is based on this bridge from our hometown, Trollhättan, and I'm not sure how we came up with it, but what we knew was that we wanted to get away from the old bright colors and stuff we had on Corpus Speed Venom and World Destroyer. We really tried to intentionally do something, new and fresh, and the artwork was a part of that. And we decided that we want to bring in our hometown, the place where everything started, and it is a bridge from there. And I sort of sent the idea to Giannis Knuckles from Remedy Art and said that, yeah, we want this bridge there, and obviously a bit crownified and stuff like that. But so, yeah, he went to work, and some while later he sent it back, an idea, and he had used the bridge way back in the image, and it was surrounded by all kinds of other things. And I mean, it looked beautiful in that sense, but after a while we felt that this is not really what we need. So one late evening I sort of opened up the artwork and started to edit it, and I cut out only just the bridge, which was quite a small piece in the original artwork. And I totally went rogue with, contrast, the coloring and editing and all that. And I basically raped and destroyed his artwork. And his feedback, I'm sure I broke his heart or something like that. But he understood. I mean, after a couple of weeks, he said, now I know what you mean, and we're actually on to something really cool and unique. And so we built the rest around this bridge. Now it's the biggest sort of part of the cover artwork. And that also led to the thing that, I mean, okay, now we have something from our hometown where everything started, and then the ideas came up that why not call the album Crown of Thorns, because we were called Crown of Thorns when we started. We actually did 2 albums under that name before we changed it to The Crown. So it was a way to sort of loop back everything back to our, hometown roots, how it started. But musically, it's not a sort of trip back or a retro nostalgic thing. It's just the visuals and the titles and the feel of it. So it felt cool. It felt right to do it. And I said to many people that, I mean, every band needs to do a self-titled album, and we managed to do it, and then again not. So it's quite a cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that it's strange that this album has so much of the past in there, because this is also an album where it feels like the band moves forward a lot as well and kind of goes out of its comfort zone. Was that something that you were aware of when you were recording this album?
It was, and it was my goal number one, that I wanted everything to, go forward and sound a bit fresh and, stuff like that. So during the creative phase, I think I wrote 19 songs or foundations to songs at least, and Matthias wrote 2 songs, and from there on we cut down, to an album length. And the criteria was a lot that if there are 2 songs that sound similar, one of those need to go. Every song needs to have their own identity and make sense, and that's what I believe is the strength of the album. That you can't actually point to one song and say, "Oh, this is a typical sound for this album." There's a lot of different stuff happening there, and I really enjoyed it. It feels good for the creative part of you, and that you actually managed to do something like that, plus 30 years later. So, it turned out quite different. And also, when we were sort of thinking about the artwork and looping it back, it was quite interesting, because Michael, our new drummer, sort of challenged us and asked, why the hell do you tune down your guitars? Because you never did that in the past. They're like, damn, you're right. I don't know why we tuned down. I don't have a good explanation. We just went with it, ever since Possessed 13 album. And the next song that I demoed at home, I tuned up the guitar, and it just added something different. We went from dark C tuning up to D, he actually suggested we go all the way back to E like in the past, but I didn't dare. I said, let's start with baby steps. Let's start with D. So the whole album in that sense has a lighter note to it. It's not this chunky thing. And it helps the songs. I mean, there's melodies happening and you hear the, guitar work better, and having a bit lighter tuning, it helps to, bring forth the low end stuff, kick drums, bass guitar and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of stuff there sort of intentionally meant to become fresh.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the tracks for me that really shows how different you wanted to do things this time is Where Nightmares Belong. That's such an amazing track, and to go from that a cappella style through then to what's being described as a lullaby kind of style with female vocals, that's such a vast difference. Tell us a little bit about that kind of experimentation with this album as well.
Yeah, that was the first song I wrote for the album, actually. The original idea was actually to open the album with it. We sort of recorded an acoustic intro to it with the melody that ends with the song, the chorus melody, and that was the plan. And the idea with the female vocals came in very, very early. I just heard it in my head that it would be such a cool thing that, at the end of the song, first there's this chorus that Johan sings just to a guitar. It's almost like a cappella, and I thought it was a cool thing. And then when you think the song ends, then this beautiful female voice comes in and, sings the final chorus in a sort of dreamy, lonely way. And it just suited her voice with the melody and everything. It was quite a cool thing. And that sort of vibe or experiment, the acceptance to experiment stuff led to the rest of the album. So there was never a point in the album, we can't do this or that. It was also, hey, let's try it, man. Let's see how it feels. And that was a good first song to sort of kick off with.
Yeah, I understand too that you took a little bit of inspiration from something that Thomas Lindberg once said when he said that the words are already there, you just have to find them. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what that meant to you and how that helped with this album as well.
Yeah, that was something that stuck with me. I'm not sure if that's like an original Thomas Lindberg quote. It sounds a bit familiar, but I remember actually the day when he told me that, because we were discussing the Chronic Terror album and the approach to it, and we discussed lyrics, and just said, and I think I said something like, it's difficult to write lyrics. You never know what to write about. And he said, well, you just need to listen to the song because the words are there. You just need to find it. I mean, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it helped me a lot. And I mean, ever since then, that's my approach to when I write lyrics. I really try to capture what the music is trying to say, and so I can have words that are sort of aligned with that. Because we work in the death metal scene, but I mean, it's not always okay to sing about, death, murder, rape in every song, if you know what I mean. So it's sometimes I'm a sucker for melodies and sort of somber melodies and stuff like that, and you need to sort of really listen to the song, what he wants to say, and that's always my approach. The times I write lyrics, Johan has a different approach, but for me, that's my approach to writing words.
Definitely. We kind of touched earlier on the change of lineup for the band as well, of course, with Mikael and Matthias coming in, but also Marcus returning to the band as well. And it's funny because normally when people talk about band lineups and change-ups, they see it as a negative, but surely there must be a positive there as well. Did it feel like there was a fire reignited with the band this time around, or that change of the creative process? Did that help you at all with all of this?
Yeah, it did. It was a positive change. Obviously, when things change, you freak out and think this is the end of the world and everything is fucked. And it did add a lot of good stuff to the sort of final result, the album. Obviously Marcus with his solos, and that's his thing, and Michael as a drummer was a very, very strong input, because we know him for ages. We're basically childhood friends, and he's always been a super, super fan of the Crown. So his sort of view on the whole band thing was almost like from a fan perspective. So he challenged us a lot with, well, this is a really cool, typical Crown thing, and I never even thought about it. And so, and also his drumming style is he has that thing in him that he can go super technical if it's needed. I mean, he's such a skilled drummer, but he also skilled in that sense that he can play without, showing off. I mean, simpler songs like Gone to Hell or Agitator, I mean, there's hardly any drum fills there. It's just straightforward, pounding, and that's really cool to have that sort of drummer there as well. And Matthias coming in, obviously, he wrote 2 songs, the opening song even, and one of the songs that end up as one of the bonus tracks. So yeah, the input was big and important.
Definitely. Well, Marco, I know we're running out of time very quickly, but I had 2 quick questions. First of all, the album comes out on the 11th of October. What are the plans for the band after that? Are you hoping to get out and do some shows? And is there any chance we might see you in Australia at some stage?
Yeah, we are right now in the planning phase. I know we're a bit late. It should have been planned and sort of agreed already, but we're a bit late with that. And the plan is that we will tour and support the album in 2025. And our goal is always to go into territories where we've never been before. And Australia has been discussed, and it could be actually an option next year. That would be great. And also other bit weird countries like South Korea. I mean, we're going places we haven't played before, and that I really look forward to. And for some reason, well, not for some reason, but Australia has always been, it's quite expensive, and it's on the other side of the freaking planet, and I mean, it's a big thing to do, and but it actually might happen now, 2025. So that would be cool.
That is awesome news, and I know a lot of our Aussie listeners will absolutely love to hear that. I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to those fans and listeners who are about to sit down and listen to Crown of Thorns for the first time on the 11th of October?
I think that it will be a combination of things you're familiar with. I mean, obviously we have a certain style and approach that we are known for, and that we sort of, it's in our DNA, but there's also some very quite different stuff there going on the album. And for me, I love the different stuff. I mean, we take down tempos, and it's all kind of different type of grooves in there. And yeah, I would suggest you listen to it a bit old school way, actually from start to finish, instead of creating your playlist and stuff like that and removing half of the songs. There is a purpose and a point to the song order and, the whole feel of it when you go from start to finish. So I guess we're a bit older in that sense. We still think in the vinyl terms. We still care what the opening song on the B-side should be and stuff like that. So give it a good listen and enjoy the ride.